When are we starting here?
How about we start now? So tell us your name and where you're from and who you are and everything else.
I'm Chris Baseheart. I'm one of the owners of A Cut Above Lawn Care here in Bowling Green. I was originally born in northern Kentucky.
What part?
We lived in Villa Hills, this side of the Ohio River from Cincinnati. I was born there in '72, and then when I was 7 years old, we moved to Bowling Green when they built the Greenwood Mall. My dad was in the retail industry, and while we lived in northern Kentucky, he spent his weeks working in Lexington, Kentucky. So he commuted back and forth. He'd live during the week in Lexington and then be home on the weekends back home. With the company he was working for at the time, it was a family-owned retail store called Ben Snyder's, and they were predominantly at the time just in Lexington and Louisville. And so Bowling Green was going to be their first big expansion. So he uprooted and he moved us all to Bowling Green, which for me was the greatest decision that he ever made.
How old were you when you got here?
I was 7.
Oh, okay.
So it was perfect timing. But I had, we range, there's 5 of us, so we range from my sister's 12 years older, so she was 19,
okay,
down to me at 7. So for several of my siblings, it was not an easy move.
Okay.
I had one going to college. The next one, my brother told my dad the day we were moving out that he was staying.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, that was not a.
What age was he there?
He was in his senior year of high school.
Oh, okay.
So he spent his senior year of high school back home because it took a year to sell the house, and assuming he probably had a pretty good time that year.
Yeah.
But he stayed back, and the next sister, she was in high school, probably sophomore, and so it was probably the hardest on her. Terrible time to move for a teenage girl.
Sure.
And then my brother is 5 years older than me, so he was I was in 2nd, so he was in 7th grade. He wasn't real happy about the move initially either, but he ended up, he adapted well.
So are you the baby?
I am the baby of 5.
So
yes.
The baby was happy, but everyone else
I was ecstatic. I moved into a neighborhood out in Rockfield that had a total of about 7 boys, 7 to 15, wide range from the ages of anywhere from 6 up to 12. So it was a good move for me.
And that's where you met your business partner.
I met Will. I came down with my dad for a trip. We were just getting settled in. I mean, it wasn't the actual move, but I was with him, and I was on the back porch, and Will and another guy rode their bikes up and pretty much said, "Let's go." And I remember looking at my dad, and he's like, "Take off." And Will and I really never looked back since.
Cool.
We kind of been inseparable there for I guess well over 35 years now.
So you've known Will for 35 plus years here.
Yeah.
When did you, because Will started the business and then you jumped in, what, like a year in, or?
Will started the business in '97. At that time, I was working at Nat's Outdoor Sports.
Okay.
I was 2 years out of college. I graduated in '95.
From Western?
From Western. And we always had, we'd always knocked around mowing yards growing up as kids. And, we always talked about possibly doing something with the mowing industry. But Will was newly out of college. He went to grad school, so he extended it a little bit longer, played a little longer. Mm-hmm. And so he bounced around looking for a job in the area that he graduated in, and didn't have any luck with finding anything, being able to stay local. So he took some savings he had from over the years, and he called me one day at Nat's, and I was working, and he said, I'm getting ready to do it. And at the time I was newly married, had just bought a house and just bought a new truck. And I said, you know, I don't think this is the best timing for me on starting a lawn care business at whatever, we were 20, 22, 23 years old. So at that time, I can remember the conversation like it was yesterday. He told me, well, I'm moving forward and the door will always be open. And so within months, I had an opportunity to came available to go to work for a local lawn and landscape company. So I jumped on the opportunity. It was to run the chemical end of the business, basically the turf applications and what have you. And so you know, I was kind of ran my course at Nats. I thought maybe I might.
What'd you do there?
Basically, I was a glorified sales. I mean,
Okay.
I worked the floor primarily. Towards the end, I did get into some buying, but it was limited. At the time, there was some guys that were veterans there that had been there for years that were looking to move on and open their own store in a neighboring community. That all fell through, so those guys ended up staying. So it kind of left. It didn't really leave a good spot for Chris. And,
Okay.
And to be honest with you, after 3 years of retailing and growing up in a retail family,
Yeah. You were ready to go.
I was like, you know, what am I doing? You know, I'm working weekends, I'm working nights, and that's the whole thing I don't want to do. and so the opportunity arose, and I went to work for a local lawn care company. It was a very diverse company at the time. The gentleman I worked for, he had the lawn division, he had the landscape division. We did some maintenance also, and he also at the time owned a garden center. So the opportunity to learn was it was a great opportunity for me.
Well, and there's some of those aspects you still kind of cling to with your company that Will says you don't like to give up.
Yeah.
Like what are some of the things you like most about this kind of work that you kind of took from that job?
I love the full aspect of you know, when Will started, you know, he was solo with one other guy, and you know, they mowed predominantly, and you know, he'd spend 1 or 2 days a week doing maintenance being, you know, mulching, some pruning jobs here and there.
Sure.
And you know, when I bought into the company in 2000, with the knowledge that I gained the 3 years working at Pro Lawn and Landscape, our big focus and our big goal, what we felt like we could build a company on and have a future with, and you know, the ultimate long-term goal, be able to make a living doing,
Sure.
was to offer full maintenance and really keep that focus on full maintenance and not be that company that called for everything. You know, we wanted to focus on one aspect of the industry, and the ultimate goal be the best at it in Bowling Green that we could be.
Sure.
The go-to company if you wanted the best service, the most consistent service. And you know, you see so many of these companies come out early, these young guys, and I think they get spread too thin. You know, you can call them to pressure wash your sidewalks, to paint your deck, and you know, we didn't want to be that company. We didn't want to be the Walmart of the industry.
Yeah.
We wanted to be more focused, more high end, and so that was kind of our focus. I mean, I love the landscaping. We do some landscaping. We don't advertise it. We don't push it, but we do enjoy doing it. But you know, there's a lot of people doing landscaping, and there's a lot of landscaping done at a lack of better words, cheap. And
Let me ask you this: with your dad being in retail, did you learn any of that kind of thought process, seeing what he went through on retail and that business, or do you think you got any exposure to that with Nats of focusing on one specific area? I mean,
I
because
think the biggest thing I learned growing up under my father, being in retail and being, at the end of his tenure, I mean, he was a vice president of Ben Siders, and he was over 13 stores. So a lot of what I gathered from him, just doing the trips with him, was witnessing the leadership type roles that he played and how he treated his employees, and then was the biggest thing I learned. The other thing I learned was I didn't want to be in retail my whole life.
Sure.
You're married to it. You have no relief. I didn't want my holidays being spent in a department store. I wanted my holidays being spent with family and at home, and so that's a big reason why I'm such a homebody, is because of that. Not that my dad missed. I mean, my dad was unbelievable in his ability to manage work and family. I mean, even with the amount of traveling he had to do. And then, going to Nats, my junior and senior year at Western, having that opportunity, predominantly all I had done was work mowing yards, and then I worked pretty much full-time all through high school and college, working for my brother-in-law, which is a local farmer here in Bowling Green.
Okay.
Spent a lot of hours there, and so I mean, I've always been attached to dirt. I mean, it's always, I love the outdoors, and so when the Nats thing arose, I basically had moved on from my brother-in-law's farm. It just had ran its course with me.
Sure.
I was at the end of college. Really didn't feel like there was a future for me in farming. I didn't grow up in it.
Sure.
But the knowledge that I learned by working under my brother-in-law and his father, it's irreplaceable. I mean, the work ethic they had, and just working around machinery and stuff, it's knowledge that you couldn't get.
Well, did they have a crew of guys that worked for him?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the season. I mean, he was a huge tobacco farmer at that time. I mean, the last year I worked with him, we had over 30 acres of tobacco. So extremely labor intensive. We'd have large Hispanic crews come in, seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you had your guys come and go. I mean, during harvest times, you would have bigger crews than you would in the off times. But I was pretty much year round, full time, all through college with him.
You have a pretty decent crew of El Salvadorans still, and you worked with Hispanics on the farm. What's that like, being a business owner and also working with those guys that are coming in, and just what's the work ethic and everything? What do they bring to the table that you think that people don't see usually?
The work ethic, from our experience, it's unbelievable as a whole. I mean, it's no different than Americans. I mean, you have some with stronger work ethics than others.
Sure.
But as a whole, for Will and I's experience at the cut above, the work ethic is it's unbelievable. The biggest challenge with us, with Hispanics over the years, has been just the difference of cultures, and the difference of being raised and trying to get on the same terms. Sometimes can be the biggest challenge from a lot of standpoints, from a financial standpoint, as far as from paying, benefits. A lot of times they don't, the only benefit they see is the dollar that they're making per hour.
Sure.
Trying to offer them some other things to entice them. A lot of times those benefits are not real.
Well, it's not part of the country culture where they come from.
It's not their culture, so it's not as important to them as what am I making per hour.
Sure.
And so that's a challenge. Overall, though, we've had really good luck with them. We had one Hispanic that was with us over 10 years. we still have a really good relationship with him. He was in the office yesterday, and you know, he's 46, 47, and you know, it's the longest tenure he's ever had at any company in his life. And you know, I'm proud of that. I'm proud to be able to say that, you know, he spent 10 years with us, because that's a challenge. You don't see it very often. And still have a working friendship, a working relationship, and who knows what the future can bring, you know.
But you guys do really well with that. You've got a lot of guys who've been with you more than, like, I've talked to other people that are in your field, and it's almost annual they have to sign guys on. When did you guys switch from, you know, this is something where we got to go find a crew every year, to, no, let's just keep them on board and we don't have to do this mess?
Early in the game, I mean, we had significant growth there for years in the early 2000s.
Like, what year did it click for you guys?
I mean, the year I bought in, we tripled in revenue that first year. Will and I were putting in a lot of hours, and it's really, you know, obviously as you get bigger, it's hard to have those increases. But we've had some significant jumps over the years, and we've learned, you know, watching peers, you know, as soon as the cold weather hit, you know, first thing they want to do is lay off their guys and have them go draw unemployment or go to the factories, or and Will and I, you know, chose to take a different route, and you know, our big goal was to keep the guys on, you know, find work for them around the shop to do. You know, if the days are nice, get them out, be seen out in town, and we think it's a good thing. For us, it's benefited us from a standpoint of we don't have to go through the rehiring a new crew every spring. And I think it builds loyalty also. Taking care of your men throughout the season. And when you can offer a guy year-round work, being in the industry that we are, being located in the area of the country that we are, it's a big benefit. It's a big benefit.
How many do you have right now?
Right now we have 18 guys on payroll, and I'll be honest, it's been a long month. It's hard. You can only paint so much. You can only clean so much. But you know, we got a great crew. I mean, you know, they find things to do. They find things to stay busy. And really, the past 2 weeks, with the weather being the way it is, we've kept them out on the jobs and kept them active too. We do a lot of projects that get put off during the season, this time of the year, and then, like I said, a lot of maintenance on equipment, cleaning equipment, a lot of painting around the shop, that type of work. So it's paid off for us. You know, could we put more money in our pocket personally? Yeah, I'm sure we could if we laid everybody off, but the headaches of trying to rebuild a crew every spring,
it's just not worth it.
It outweighs it. It outweighs keeping them around, you know. We have guys with us, you know, our longest now is over 10 years. And from there, I mean, we got 8, 7, 6. It's unheard of in this industry. It's unheard of in this industry, especially in our area. I think something you can look at when you're looking at a landscape and lawn maintenance company, you know, if you want to go beyond just shopping price, you know, ask about the company and ask about the employees. And you know, when you can tell your potential customers, you know, I got guys that have been with me 10 years, that's going to put you heads and heels above a lot of your competition.
Well, it also helps that, I mean, they've been working on some of the same clients. They know exactly what the client wants. It's not a training process every...
Exactly. I mean, our guys have great relationships with our clients. I mean, working, communicating, relationships, you know, and a lot of things are done that Will and I never know about because they take care of it. You know, we give them that freedom to solve problems themselves on the jobs. We try not to micromanage every single movement they make. and they know what we expect. They know the detail we expect, and they know the detail that we're hired to, why companies or customers come to us, why they hire Cut Above. And that's something that we have instilled in them, and it's very important to us. And they know the core guys that we have, they get it, they understand it. They sign on for what we're about and what we're here to do. And the biggest challenge, is you always got, not to say we don't have turnover. We do have a lot of turnover. It's the nature of the business, but our veterans are very good about weeding out the guys that aren't going to be there for the right reasons or can't perform up to.
Your guys will tell you really quick if someone's a good hire or not.
We will know within 2 days, most of the time, if somebody's going to work out. And the best thing is our veterans weed them out. And, if you don't perform, you don't work, lack of a better word, if you're just plain lazy, you're just there to be a warm body and draw a check, they'll move you out. It's just that. And we've learned that it's a lot better to get rid of a cancer early than keeping around and let it fester in the company. And a bad apple can bring down a company fast.
Yeah, so here's the thing, because we've talked about kind of your background and all that stuff, but let's get to what you really are. Where's you're big in camping, just like Will and everything. Mm-hmm. Where's your favorite spot?
Favorite spot, I'll have to go local just because of the lake and stuff. We spend a lot of time up at Barren River Lake. We have a boat that Will and I share, so that during the summer months that we end up there out of default just because of the fact that we have the boat there. And a lot of memories there, a lot of memories at Bailey's Point, and my daughter has grown up since the time she was born there. I got pictures of her, in her little car carrier sitting by the fire. Some of the other places we love, I love going to the Smokies.
Okay.
We've done several trips there. Kendall and I did a week-long vacation, just the two of us there a few years back in the national park. Another one of my big favorites, it's not too bad of a drive, is Fall Creek Falls, Tennessee.
Okay.
About a 3.5 hour trip, and it offers a lot for someone that loves to do, the day hikes and get out and get moving, and it's beautiful down there.
Where's the place you want to go?
I want to hook up and go out west. I love to do a 2-week deal and do the west thing. Do the west.
What's your favorite part of doing this job? Like, what's the one activity you guys do that, this is when Chris shines the most?
I still love putting applications down as far as spraying. I love being on a sprayer.
Why? Why is that so? You just feel fulfilled by doing that, or?
It's just what I started doing. It was a big challenge for me when I took on the spraying when I was 23, 24 years old, when I was hired to run the spraying for that company, having total lack of knowledge at all, even coming from an ag background. Growing grass and growing...
Wait, so what did you get your degree in?
My actual degree was in corporate and organizational communication.
Okay.
That was not really my choice, but I told my dad I wanted an ag degree, and he looked at me like I was crazy, and he felt like that would be too limiting to me, so we agreed on corporate and organizational communication. He said that would keep you broader, won't put which I hate it because it required a lot of speech classes, and
which you hate doing these interviews. We get it.
As you can tell, I'm not one of these guys that love being in front of a camera, and so that was a great decision at that age for him to push me towards that for many reasons. It got me in front of a class. I had several speech classes. Did they do much for me? Probably not much, but it made me not as not as uncomfortable getting in front of people, and I made it through it.
Well, what have you learned from those classes, your dad, all that, even working at Nats, all that, to help you on the business side? Because I think a lot of guys like to cut grass. A lot of guys like to go out and do the work.
Yeah.
But there's a whole back end of this, of running your own company, that sometimes it's better just to go get a paycheck than it is to start your own thing.
I mean, I think going through that degree program, following up with 3 years working with Nats, which, I mean, we all know the average clientele that comes into Nats they're good clientele. You're not dealing. So it gave me a background of I learned how to actually work with people, and communicate with people, and sell with people. I was with people that wanted to be there. I wasn't trying to sell an item. It wasn't like a cold call. And so it gave me ability, and I got to work in an industry I loved. I loved camping. I got to sell camping gear, and I got comfortable with it. I mean, a lot of those people that I sold to at Nats are currently customers of Cut Above and have been for 15 plus years.
Well, even Nats is still a customer.
Yeah, I built relationships there. And so to answer the question, I love meeting with customers that are open-minded, that call because they want to meet with you. They're not looking for a cheap price. They want to build a relationship. They want to listen to recommendations, and building some relationships. I love one-on-one contact with them, and and even over 20 years of doing it, I've grown to I don't mind conflict as much, especially with a lasting relationship customer. Let's work this out, work it out and come to terms to what we need to do to make you happy and what we need to do to make the Cut Above happy, and keep the relationship going, and not end it over some simple mistake a guy made on a mower that's been with us one day. We can solve this problem and move on and learn and build from the relationship. And when you can do that and look back at your customer base and look at customers that have been with you through, a lot of turmoil, they're different. I mean, we've had every mistake happen that you could possibly think of in 20 years.
Sure.
We've come close to burning houses down. We've broken more windows than you can imagine. And if you could solve these problems and keep the customer happy and do it in a professional way, you got a customer for life.
But it's been a long time since you almost burned a house down, right?
That's been several years ago. We had a crew that mulched over the landscape lighting with some pine mini nuggets, and needless to say, we had to replace about an $800 or $900 landscape lighting, but $800 or $900 versus a $400,000 home. We came out okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty good trade-off there.
And the customer's still with us today.
That's good.
Yeah, the customer's still with us today. Luckily, they were in Florida, but luckily their neighbor caught it and made the call. So
this is kind of my last question, because this is for mainly a lot of young business owners or even older business owners. You and Will have been friends for a long time, so maybe it's a little bit easier. But business partnerships are sometimes a booger. How do you guys usually solve issues?
That's funny you ask. I mean, I worked, like I said, all through high school and college with my brother-in-law, and he was in a partnership, and he was in a partnership with his father. And I was there for years. I saw the thick and thin, and I saw the challenges of what a partnership brought, and they made it work, and they stayed together. And it was like, this is something I need to really think about. And then moving on from that, my two brothers were partners in the concrete industry for years.
So you could have gone in the concrete business?
No. It's just that was, I helped them a lot in my early years to make extra cash when I had time, but it wasn't my love. It wasn't where I it wasn't where my heart was. It wasn't. But they worked together for 10 years, and back in those years, I mean, they got driveways, sidewalks all over this community that, you know, they were the best of the best.
Okay.
And they were very successful.
The work ethic, what?
I've always been surrounded by peers and grown men that had unbelievable work ethic. And but that, you know, that partnership eventually dissolved just over.
Sometimes that happens, though.
It just happens, and really predominantly, if you look at the history of partnerships,
10's pretty good.
That 10's good, but they moved on with their separate ways, and the one brother's still in the concrete industry, and then you know, I've seen other partnerships. You know, the Stuart and Ritchie story. Bill Ritchie and Buster Stewart are brother-in-laws of my brother.
Oh, okay.
And you know, that's a partnership that you can see success. So I think the biggest thing is if you know, you can find your strengths from each individual in the partnership, and be able to have enough confidence and belief in your partner to let them do their thing and let the other one do their thing. And it's amazing if you can let your egos go, what you can accomplish working together. It's unbelievable having somebody there at the same risk level that you are, dealing with the same issues, the same stress. It's been a great thing for Will and I. I'm confident in saying I would not be where I am today without Will, and I feel like he would say the same thing.
Richard.
I feel like he would say the same thing over the 20 or 18 years we've been together. Have we had trials and troubles over the years? Yeah, I mean, we butted heads. We butted heads a lot in the early years. In the early years, the money was not there. There was a lot of times where, you know, we didn't know how we were going to pay our guys. And you know, when you have those type of challenges going on, it makes sometimes the partnership harder. But you know, as you grow, you learn a lot, and if you don't learn a lot, a partnership's not going to work. You got to, like I said, you got to let go of the ego. You got to let go of, it's as much of a marriage as, if not more, than you can imagine if you want it to be successful. And the biggest thing with Will and I, we're partners. We spend, probably whatever percentage, 80% of our life together, and we've been able. We literally, every single day, and the thing I'm the most proud of is that we've maintained a friendship too, and it's not just a business relationship. We do a lot outside of work together too, and I don't think that's real common in partnerships, and I'm proud of that, very proud of that. So is it for everybody? No, I don't think it is for everybody. Main reason because we're all human, and we all have egos a lot bigger than what they need to be. I think Will and I kept a very low key with our success. We don't try to throw it in people's face. We're consistent. We're consistent with ourselves. We're consistent with our employees. We're consistent with our customers. And I think the key to success in life, personal, business, friendship, is having consistency. And if you can do that, you're going to be a lot farther ahead of the game.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.